Problem 11 on page 442 asks you to find the effective annual yield of an account. First, I want to explain what does yield mean and how is that different from interest. The interest rate is given at 5%. When we have simple interest, the interest is exactly the same as the yield. I'll show you what I mean. Let's take $100, 5% of $100. So if our interest rate is 5% on a simple interest, we are going to get back $5. No more, no less, we'll get back $5 on the account. Once we start to compound interest, this is where we get a yield. Let's just make it very simple. We're going to compound the interest one time, which means over the course of 1 year, we'll divide the interest up into two portions. We'll do 2.5% at the first time, and then we'll take 2.5% compounded the second time. So what does this mean? Halfway through the year, on our $100, so $100 invested at simple interest gives us $5. For compound interest, we'll get $2.50 the first time. The second time, at the end of the year, because we're compounding, we're now not taking 2.5% of $100, but we're taking 2.5% of $100 plus the $2.50 we made. So this isn't a calculation I can do in my head, so I'm going to use the calculator. So we'll take $102.5, and we are going to get 2%, 2.5% of that, 0.025, and we get $2.56 rounded down. So this time we get $2.56, a little bit more. When we add the two of them up, we get $5.06. That's more than what we got when we did simple interest. So now the yield of the compounding interest is the rate marked by this $5.06. So the effective yield is 5.06%. Okay, it works out simply because I invested $100, so all the numbers come out nice and clean. Okay, the problem in the book asks a little bit more of a complicated effective annual yield on a 5% account, which is compounded monthly. Okay, so let's take a look at our equation because we don't want to go through and calculate out 12 times what we're going to get for each month. So we know that the equation, the amount we get at the end of the year, the total amount is the principal times the quantity 1 plus the rate divided by the number of times it's compounded throughout the year, raised to the power of the number of times it's compounded throughout the year, times the number of years. Okay, usually this is going to be 1 year. So we're just looking at what is the yield after 1 year on a 5% account. It will not be $5. We won't get 5%. We'll get some amount more than 5%. The question is how much more. So let's go ahead and put the numbers in. We don't have a principal amount, so we'll leave that as P. 1 plus the rate. Make sure to convert your 5% into a decimal, 0.05, over the number of times we're compounding. Since we're compounding 12 times, okay, it's compounded monthly, so we'll divide by 12 to the 12th power times 1. I don't need to write that out because we're only doing 1 year. Okay, so let's take a look at this calculation. And when I do a calculation like this on the calculator, I start with, I don't try to plug the whole thing into the calculator. You can do that with parentheses and all of that, but I prefer to just do order of operations. So I start with the fraction, 0.05 divided by 12. That gives us this quantity right here. I'm now going to add that to 1. We're left with this. We are now raising that to the 12th power. And we end up with 1.05116. Okay? So the amount we get at the end of the year is equal to 1.05116 rounded times the principal. We don't have a principal amount and we don't need a principal amount because this number right here gives us the yield, right? The principal is represented by the number 1 and the yield is now represented by the number that's added to the 1. So this is our yield. We get, at the end, we get 5.12% more than what we started with. This is our yield. So if we were to invest $100 at 5% compounded monthly, we would end up with 100 times 0.512. Okay? If we were to invest $500, we would end up with $525.60, so on and so forth.